Hey Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you this layout. It's an 8.5 by 11 layout, and it was created using my December Cocoa Daily Kits. The theme of the blog post today is Christmas inspiration, and I decided to go with Christmas travel themed inspiration because this kit is far from Christmas. That was what last month's theme was, and so there are no colors that are related to this. There is nothing theme related to Christmas, and so you can see I chose this Christmas tree picture. My husband, of all months in the year, has had to travel most during this month of December, and he sent me a picture of this Christmas tree in the Reagan airport, and so the colors of this were perfect to kind of build into with the kit as well as the theme. And so I wrote about my interpretation of this picture, which was my annoyance at his having to travel during the busiest season of the year. And so that vellum piece there is actually a free download that Arle has on her Facebook channel. And so I printed that on vellum, and I thought that would be the perfect complement to this as a way of incorporating some red into the layout, because there's also orange in that, and that way I could pull the orange from the kit along with little pieces of the red. And there's also sort of a yellowy hue to the picture with orange in it as well. And so that enabled me to tie those colors together to use on the layout. Now, I was a bit indecisive about how this piece of vellum was going to go on the layout. I thought long ways, and then I thought short ways. And you can see I keep turning it around and trying to figure out how I was going to make it end up work best. And ultimately, while I like what I have there with it going tall to the page, I end up going with it this way, horizontal to the page, because I can adhere the vellum with it being the least distractive. So by having it go all the way across the page, there isn't that defined line from where the vellum ends. And I used one of the 4x6 pocket cards to back the photo with that yellow there. And again, that enhances the picture as well as pulls the yellow and the orange out of that vellum that is there. And you can see that I had pre-typed my journaling out on that 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. I basically just set up a template in Word and then printed it off, and that gave me the foundation to then build my layout on. So this kit fortunately comes with a lot of embellishments this month, which is really nice because we have been short on embellishments as the design team. So it's been fun to have lots of elements to choose from. I just then went through the pocket cards. I thought that one that I end up putting away, I would just use the red banner of. And then I saw this December that had the red in it too, but it really doesn't go. And so I ultimately end up abandoning all of those options. I knew I just wanted a layer of this 4x6 card, so I cut off the inside thinking that I might be able to use that somewhere else on the layout or for something else, because there isn't really much yellow in this kit. So I stick that down. And it is low down on the print, but I knew I was going to shift things up to the top of the page there. And I didn't put the picture square on the 4x6 card, so I just had to realign that there. And I put the adhesive from my ATG underneath the picture, which would adhere it to the right-hand side. And then I am going to adhere the rest of that with my Prima glue pen, which is perfect. If you put it on the pattern on the cardstock and then push the vellum down onto it, you have no idea that there's adhesive there, which is perfect. So there is sort of the foundation of the layout, really, and now it's just time to embellish it a little bit. So this month's pocket stamps, it had some stripes horizontal stripes on it, and I thought that I would stamp a border going all the way across, but then I decide that I really need to incorporate that orange into the layout, and so I was going to create a footer with the orange and stamp on it. So I was either going to stamp with the horizontal stamp really didn't, there was too much, it was the wrong type of movement in the layout given that I'd created a very sort of up and down movement. And so I went with the little arrows that will go on the orange. Now I had this stamp mark that I wanted to put on, and I tried lifting the photo up, but the photo had been so well adhered that I just overlapped a piece of paper, and that was a perfect way of getting the stamp without stamping onto my photo or being able to pull that photo up. And then that airplane, which I believe comes from the print and cut files, the subscriber exclusive print and cut files, was perfect on the corner there to sort of represent the airport that my husband was at. So there's the stamp that I end up deciding to go with instead of that horizontal stripe, and they're arrows. They're not quite arrows, but they're sort of directionals. And so again, in black, I am just going to stamp that. My initial thought was to go all the way across the page with it, but I couldn't quite line them up so that they were straight. I'm sure there was a way I could have done it with my Misty or my equivalent of the Misty, but I actually didn't want them going all the way across the page ultimately, because the weight of the black offset the weight of the photo in that top right hand corner. So there's a sort of diagonal movement now across the page from the top right, balanced out by the weight on that top left, bottom left there. So I trim that off so that I don't have too much of the black, and then put that at the bottom of the page. But what I decided was that I wanted just a little bit more black, and so this kit came with some Cocoa Daisy exclusive washi. So I put that on the bottom just for a thin line, and you can see how that weights the page much better. So it isn't all just sort of sitting at the top and there's some stuff down the bottom there. So I'm going to trim that off, and in doing so, I actually end up smudging what I had stamped, and I smudge it several times, but oh well, so be it. It's God's imperfections, or human imperfections, really. So then I've got that, and I want a couple more embellishments, and I had my heart set on using this red arrow because it was red, but it was too small. A lot of these embellishments are too small for a 4x6 picture, as I've got here. And I really like that label, and so I decide to use, in the stamp set, it says month of, and so I put month of in the red label, and then I'm going to stamp December at the end of those arrows directly onto the layout there. And in many ways that ends up becoming the title of my layout. Now, I completed this layout on my way racing out of town to get to a swim meet, because where else would I be going? And there are several things that I did end up doing off camera. So where I'm working now down on this bottom left side of the footer of this layout, I end up fussy cutting 3 tags from the 6x6 pad. Not pad, papers that come with the pocket kit, and I'm going to put those just behind the label there. And then I'm also going to cut another 2 to go with it that go tucked into the right hand side of the photo where I end up putting a puffy sticker. So I wanted a little bit more embellishment, and I played with various things from the stickers, from the ephemera pack, and from the print and cut files. And that's what I've got there in that little black thing is the print and cut files. And I ended up going with a puffy sticker and then those tags that I mentioned, and another puffy sticker on the photo, and again with the other 2 tags that I had mentioned before. And so again, those tags end up being done off camera. So in many ways, it's a very simple layout. It's my Christmas inspiration, or my travel during the Christmas season inspiration, and it's a great way to show you how you could incorporate something and do a Christmas layout that isn't necessarily using the traditional Christmas colors, but still pull those elements into it and make it work for you. So I hope you are inspired to play along. Maybe if you don't subscribe. There's a subscribe button down below. Thanks for joining me today. Enjoy the close-ups, and I hope to see you back soon. Take care.